Hello everyone, my name is Tia Bilali and I work as a project manager for creative thinking development in Greece. Today I will be briefly introducing you to upcycling methods and sustainable based thinking in product design. First of all, we will start with the environmental impact of the textile production chain. The making of a garment requires the manufacturing or the supplying of its pieces, which will be put together and complete the production. These inputs, such as raw materials, need energy and water and pesticides in order to be completed from yarn to fabric. However, these requirements have equivalent outputs that are harmful and toxic towards the environment, outputs such as wastewater, toxic emissions, or solid waste. While making the garment, there are many amounts and huge amounts of waste being brought up coming from the pieces such as offcuts, yarn waste, end of rolls or unsold stock. At the end of the use of the product, the user will probably dispose the final garment instead of reusing it. The textile industry employs only 2% of recycled feedstock from other industries, to which as few as 1% of closed-loop recycling can be added. 12% of fibers from fashion textiles are recycled into other, while 76% is landfilled or incinerated. In the same industry, there are also scraps produced and waste that can hardly be reintroduced in the garment's value chain, either for lack of demand or for post-consumer loss of mechanical properties that makes the material unsuitable for reuse. In order to decrease the environmental disposal nowadays, there are even more and more solutions appearing. A sustainably based thinking must come from both sides of the coin, both customers and suppliers and all of their affiliates. It is important that they have become fully aware of the concerning impact of the textile industry on the environment. Most common methods of low environmental impact disposal are reuse, recycling, remanufacturing, and upcycling method. Textile reuse refers to various means of prolonging the practical service life of textile products by transferring them to new owners. This, for example, can be done through renting, trading, swapping, borrowing, and inheriting facilitated by, for example, second-hand shops, flea markets, garage sales, or online marketplaces, and among others, charities and clothing libraries, and many more. Then we have the textile recycling, which most often refers to the reprocessing of pre- or post-consumer textile waste. And finally, we have the textile upcycling that can be achieved by combining various mechanical, chemical, and thermal processes. In this case, there are other classifications of recycling routes. For example, if the recycled material is of lower value or quality than the original product, this term is mentioned as downcycling. Today, existing textile recycling routes are in most cases downcycling. In contrast, if a product from recycled material is of higher value than the original product, this is termed as upcycling. On the part of smart textiles, the complexity of materials used for a smart textile states them as a complex product for recycling or upcycling. As a first thought, a smart textile is being designed and produced for specific purposes, and because of its utilities, a further use of its original one is either hard to imagine or to create. Therefore, implementation of eco-design in the development of a smart textile must be tested. Environmental conscious decision-making must serve as a model. Environmentally aware material choices will reduce the environmental impact, and the knowledge about life cycle will widen the knowledge of the user in terms of the smart textile. Because smart textiles consist of small electronic devices that are seamlessly embedded in the actual textile, recycling old e-textiles will be difficult because valuable materials are dispersed in large amounts of heterogeneous textile waste. Moreover, the electronic components can act as contaminants in the recycling of textile materials. The method of upcycling is defined as the activity to increase the symbolic value and create lifelong products. It is the wider branch that contains the reuse and remanufacturing phase. In the context of European project Textra, there was a good practice example of textile upcycling stated in the paradigm of trash to cash, utilizing zero value waste textiles and fibers with design-driven technologies to create high-quality products. Trash to Cash was an EU-funded research project which aimed to create new regenerated fibers from pre-consumers and post-consumer waste. It was also pioneering a whole new way of developing materials. One resource that's becoming more abundant is waste. The idea of recycling textile waste has been popular for decades, but current mechanical methods give poor quality fabrics suitable only for industrial applications. Trash to Cash proposes a new model where paper and textile waste is recycled chemically, resulting in fabrics that are the same quality as new materials, to make products that are industrially replicable and infinitely recyclable. So how important is a sustainable-based research? With a sustainable-based approach during the pre-production phase, people move from the current line or take, make and dispose system to a system that restores resources and regenerates material resources. Creating a more circular economy than a linear one, there were elements which interact intelligently into prolonging life and maximize resource. One approach was the development of products that will serve more than one purposes in favor of the environment and the user. Sustainability is an issue that is starting to gain importance and will influence significantly the development of long-lasting textile products. In the coming videos, you will see an innovative, researched and developed product designed completely inspired by the terms of nature.
Before we solve a problem, we should ask, has it been solved anywhere in the natural world? Life has ingenious ways of meeting its needs. In the Namib Desert, there's very little groundwater, but there is a fog that comes in a few times a week. And there's a tiny black beetle that climbs up to the top of a dune, stands on his head, lifts his wing scales up into that flow. And on these wing scales, there are bumps. The tips of the bumps are like magnets for water. The sides of the bumps are waxy. So fog comes in, begins to aggregate on the tips. The water runs down the trough and into the critter's mouth. This is being mimicked now in fog-catching nets that are 10 times better than the fog-catching nets we currently have. In fact, there's a company that is putting this surface on the inside of water bottles to create a self-filling water bottle. Water is the new oil. It's what nations will be fighting over, unfortunately, being able to pull water out of air.
Following the videos, there is a creative paradigm presented here shortly. As a result of research in the product design stage, based on the mesh panels, the below paradigm was created by a group of students from University of Borås. For the product, the students created a jacket. The product is designed according to the needs of an outdoors adventurer, taking into consideration the easiness and the access to water, drinkable water. The aim of the project would be to minimize the consumption of plastic bottles and also to provide sustainable water consumption for the user. In this case, the mesh panel that was presented before in the videos, it is integrated in the hood of the jacket, which can be adjusted to be opt-out or to be inserted back in the hood. The mesh panel can be folded into a sort of cone and inserted in the bottle overnight. Gather and collect the humidity of the atmosphere and provide drinkable water for the user the next morning. Based on the best satisfaction of consumer and on sustainable and lifelong ethics, the product offers water consumption without the need of purchasing a new product and giving a long-lasting product use cycle. For conclusion, there are different ways which have been developed and a lot more that are being developed in order for the textile sector to follow ways for a sustainable based thinking in product design and a sustainable disposal in end of a product's life cycle. Textiles are already established as a negative environmental impact since the production, and smart textiles, on the other hand, are also added in the list and even more. The after effects of these products are also food for thought in order to balance the widely increasing demand for smart textiles and the decrease of the pollution to the environment. Thank you for watching this video.